Ever think about all that water, just going down the drain every day? It's got to be a lot, right?
Oh, yeah, tons. Most people don't realize just how much they use, especially in the bathroom and stuff.
Exactly. So today we're diving into gray water recycling. Basically, reusing that gently used water, from sinks and showers, even laundry for things like watering your plants.
Yeah, like a second life for your water. Makes
Yeah.
a lot of sense when you think about it.
Absolutely. And we're lucky to have some amazing research from Robert Couric. He's a real expert in water conservation. His work breaks it all down for us.
It's incredible, really. Like we'll be exploring different systems, for gray water and how they can actually help the environment and save money at the same time.
Yeah, saving money and the planet. Sign me up. But before we get too ahead of ourselves, can we back up a bit? Like, what exactly is gray water?
Sure. It's not, as gross as some people might think. Gray water is basically the wastewater from like washing your hands, taking a shower, or doing the laundry. The important thing is it's not the water from toilets or kitchen sinks. That's what's called black water. And that needs a whole different level of treatment.
Okay, phew. So we're not talking about like reusing toilet water here. That definitely makes me feel better. But I'm curious, how much water are we actually talking about? Does it really make that big of a difference?
Oh, yeah. The average house, it generates something like 50 to 80 gallons of gray water every single day.
Wow. That's a lot more than I would have guessed.
It is. And if you recycle that, I mean, you could potentially cut your outdoor water use like in half, even more in some cases.
50%. That's huge. You mentioned earlier that it's not just good for the environment, but it's good for our wallets too. How does gray water recycling save money?
Think about it. If you're using less water from the city, your water bill's going down. And it's not just the water itself, it's also the energy, to pump and treat that water.
Oh, I see. So it's like a double win, less water A&D, lower energy costs. I mean, with the way prices are going up, that's definitely appealing. But okay, so I'm on board with the concept. But like, how hard is it to actually set up a gray water system at home? Are we talking major construction here?
Not necessarily. It can be as simple or as, complex as you want it to be. There are even systems you can install yourself,
Really?
especially if you're just starting out.
Hmm.
The key is just choosing the right system for, what you need and understanding the basics.
Okay, so let's get into those basics. Where do we even begin? What's the first step in, setting up one of these systems?
Well, you got to start by identifying your sources of gray water. Like where's it coming from? Bathroom sinks and showers. Those are usually the easiest and safest places to start.
Okay, so that makes sense. What about the laundry?
Laundry water is good too, but gotta be a bit careful there.
Wow.
Like what kind of detergent you're using, especially if you're going to use the water for your garden.
I'm guessing like those super strong detergents are a no-go.
Yeah, probably not the best idea.
Yeah.
Biodegradable detergents, those are, the way to go.
Hmm.
And if you're washing really dirty clothes, like, muddy soccer uniforms or something, probably better to just send that straight to the sewer.
Makes sense. Okay, what about the dishwasher? Can we use that water too?
It can be done, but dishwasher water, it's a little trickier because of, food particles, grease. You need the right filtration system, and it's probably not the best for beginners. Stick with showers, sinks, maybe laundry to start.
Got it. So we've got our gray water sources all figured out. What's the next step in this eco-friendly plumbing adventure?
Well, now comes the fun part, choosing your gray water system. There are basically three main types: laundry to landscape, branch drain system, and then a pumped storage system.
Those sound a little technical. Break it down for me. What's the difference between them?
Think of it this way. The laundry to landscape, that's like the simplest one, easiest to set up. It basically just, diverts the water from your washing machine right out to the garden. No pumps, no tanks, nothing fancy.
Simple and straightforward.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Now, the branch drain system, that collects gray water from multiple places, like your shower, bathroom sink, and it distributes it through a network of pipes.
I see. So that's if I want to like water my whole garden with gray water, not just one little area.
Yep, that's the one. And then the pump storage system, that's a bit more involved. It uses a storage tank and a pump. It gives you more, control over when and where you're irrigating. Usually a better choice for larger properties or if you wanted to like store the gray water for a while.
So there's like a system for everyone, every need, every level of DIY expertise. I like it. But wait, before we start sending all this like soapy water out to our precious plants, shouldn't we be filtering that stuff?
Absolutely. Filters are like non-negotiable in any Greywater system. They get rid of debris, soap residue, anything that could clog your pipes or, hurt your plants.
So what kind of filters are we talking about?
There's a bunch out there, like the Filter King model. That's
Mm.
that's a popular one, really good at getting rid of soap. And you'll also want to install three-way valves. Gives you flexibility. You can send the water to the garden or just back to the sewer if you need to.
Flexibility is key. Okay, filters, valves, got it. Now, what about the plants themselves? Can any plant, handle being watered with gray water, or are there some that are, I don't know, better suited for it?
Oh yeah, you definitely can't just douse everything with gray water and expect it to thrive. Gray water, it's got a bit of a higher pH level than regular water, a little more alkaline. And it might still have, traces of soap. Some plants are sensitive to that.
So, which plants are we talking about here? Give us the rundown on the best choices for a gray water garden.
Think, tough plants. Hardy. Native plants are usually a good bet. They're used to the local climate and they can handle, a little bit of change in the water.
Native plants, good for the environment, A&D, good with a little gray water. I like it. What about flowers? Any flowering plants that do well?
Oh, for sure. Tons of flowering plants can handle it, like yarrow, lavender, even some types of roses.
Really? That's good to know.
Yeah, just, do your research. Choose the varieties that are known to be drought tolerant and can deal with like a slightly higher pH.
So it sounds like we've got lots of options for creating a beautiful A&D eco-friendly garden with with gray water. This is great. Okay, but what about food? Can you grow, edible plants with gray water? I'm picturing a nice little veggie garden watered straight from my shower.
That's where it gets a little more complicated. You can technically use it for edible plants, but it's not really recommended unless you have like a really, really good filtration system.
Right. I can see why you'd want to be extra careful with anything you're, going to be eating.
Exactly.
So we'll stick to the pretty plants for now, but before we all run off and transform our yards into these like gray water wonderlands, let's talk maintenance and safety. Keurig was really big on that.
Oh yeah, he's right to stress that. Good news is gray water systems, they're pretty low maintenance generally.
Okay, that's good.
But there are a few things to, keep in mind. First off, always use biodegradable cleaning products. You don't want to be putting like harsh chemicals into your garden or back into the water system.
Right, so swapping out those chemical-laden cleaners for more eco-friendly options.
Exactly.
Got it. What else?
And unlike rainwater, you shouldn't store gray water for too long. Bacteria, it can start to grow if it just sits there.
Oh, okay.
Best to use it within like 24 hours.
Mm.
And of course, clean those filters and valves regularly.
Keep it clean, keep it flowing. Got it. Any other words of wisdom from our water expert?
You really stressed observation. You're really getting to know your system, see how your plants are doing, make adjustments if you need to.
So it's like a partnership, right, between you, your system, and your garden.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of partnerships, we've been talking about individual homes, but Kurek also touched on, using gray water for businesses. What did he have to say about that?
He thinks businesses like cafes, gyms, even some hotels, they could save a lot of money with these systems. Just think about all the water they use for hand washing,
Yeah.
showers.
That's true. I never thought about it that way. It's a lot of water.
It is.
And it's not just about the money either. I bet it would, appeal to customers who are into being eco-friendly.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's a good way for businesses to show they care about sustainability.
Yeah,
Attract those environmentally conscious customers. Win-win.
definitely. So we're seeing how gray water recycling can have an impact beyond just, our own backyards. What about even bigger? Like, could whole communities benefit?
Now, that's where it gets really exciting. Kubrick's research was mostly about homes and small businesses.
Yeah.
But imagine if whole cities started doing this.
Yeah.
We could significantly reduce our water consumption overall. I mean, think about it.
It's crazy to think. We're so used to just like water going down the drain and that's it. But gray water recycling, it's like it changes how we see water,
Totally. It forces us to think about how much we use and to find ways to be more efficient, to waste less.
Love that. But let's be real. Are there any downsides to gray water recycling that we haven't talked about? Like, what are the challenges?
Yeah, that's a good question. And you know what? It's something that Couric didn't really go into, in his research.
Right. It's not all, perfect, is it? There's going to be some downsides.
Of course. Yeah, there are always challenges when you're trying to do something new, especially with something as important as water. I think one of the main concerns is, contamination. If the gray water isn't properly filtered and you're not careful with it, you could actually introduce pollutants, into the soil or even worse, into the groundwater.
That's definitely something to think about. So it seems like the key is doing it right,
Mhm.
having a good system and making sure it's appropriate, for what you need. What about the cost? Like setting up one of these systems, it's gonna cost something, right?
Yeah, the initial cost, that can be a barrier for some people, especially if they're on a tight budget.
Yeah.
But you got to weigh that against the long-term savings on your water bill,
Yeah.
right? And there might even be rebates or incentives, depending on where you live, to help offset the cost.
Right. It's an investment. It's something that could pay for itself over time. Anything else we should be thinking about?
Well, regulations, those are always a factor.
Yeah.
Gray water regulations, they can be different all over the place. Some places are really strict and some are more relaxed. So it's important to do your research, make sure you're following the rules wherever you live.
So a little homework up front can save you some trouble down the road. Makes sense. But even with all that, it seems like the benefits of gray water recycling are huge. Like not just for individuals, but for everyone, really. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it has the potential to be like a game changer,
Yeah.
especially as we're facing, more and more water scarcity all over the world. Just imagine if we could reduce our reliance on traditional water sources, even by a little bit.
It could make a big difference.
It really could,
Yeah.
especially in places that are prone to drought or, are already dealing with water shortages.
Absolutely. What about the environmental impact beyond just saving water? Does gray water have other, ecological benefits?
Oh yeah, for sure. When we use less water from the city, we're also reducing the energy needed to, pump it, treat it, distribute it, all that. So
Yeah.
that means lower greenhouse gas emissions, a smaller carbon footprint.
So it's a win-win for water A&D for the climate. That's amazing. And it seems like this whole shift towards gray water recycling, it's part of a bigger trend, right? Like towards more sustainable living in general.
Definitely. It's about recognizing that resources are limited, and we need to be smarter about how we use them. Gray water is a great example. It's a pretty simple idea, but it
Yeah.
really changes how we think about water.
And it makes you feel like you can actually, do something. It shows that even small changes can make a difference. But what really excites me is the potential for more innovation in this whole field. It feels like we're just getting started with gray water.
I think so too.
Yeah.
As technology gets better and we learn more, I think we'll see even better systems, more efficient, more user-friendly,
Mm.
can become just normal,
Yeah.
in homes and buildings in the future.
That's a future I can get behind. We've covered a lot of ground today, all about gray water, the good and the bad. As we're wrapping up this deep dive, what's the one thing you want our listeners to remember?
I'd say the most important thing is to realize that this isn't some crazy idea. Gray water recycling, it's a real solution. It can benefit everyone, us, our communities, the planet. If you're interested in what you've heard today, go learn more. See if it might be right for you.
It's about taking that first step, every little bit counts. And hey, maybe you'll even become a gray water evangelist, get other people excited about it.
I love it. That's what it's all about, working together to protect our water.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into gray water recycling. We hope you learned a lot. And until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.
That's all for today's episode of the Quality Podcast Saving Water, Saving Energy. Thank you so much for tuning in and being part of this journey toward a more sustainable future. I hope you found these insights valuable and that they inspire you to take action, whether in your career or your everyday life. To learn more, check out additional resources, articles, and updates at www.robertcurek.com and www.malvernaquitech.com. There's plenty more to explore on the latest in quality engineering and water and energy-saving innovations. Thanks again for listening, and remember to join us next time as we continue our mission to save water, save energy, and make a lasting impact. Until then, take care and stay sustainable.